Hi, this is Ken Gidge, and this is Gidge World, and welcome to it. And ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we know right now, us being the Democrats, the good party, well, at least the Democrats think we're a good party, and the Republicans, they're bad party. Well, not all Republicans. But I have something right here I'd like to read to you because I think it's really important, and I think we already know how this election is going to go. In other words, how they're going to attack Obama. Obama made a statement after the Supreme Court had hearings on, people call it the Obama. Would you call it? Let me introduce Dave Robbins first, because this is too complicated. Okay, I have a second time here, which is Robbins 2, we will call it. He's here for the second time. This would be the second half. How are you?
I am very good, Ken, and how are you today?
I'm awful because I can't quite figure this out.
Well, Ken, you know, perhaps it's all part of your Michael Jackson-like glove that you're wearing.
You mean this?
Can you tell us about that? It's a new fashion statement, and I haven't seen you wearing that in the chambers. And I'm just wondering if there's something as the election season comes up, and is this a campaign thing? Are you trying to get sympathy or what?
See? You see? I knew it. It's just starting right away. Actually, I sprained my wrist, and it's like my thumb. I forgot to take it off actually, because it's even distracting for me. But if this is like a Michael Jackson glove, then it has some value. Would you like to buy it?
Well, no, probably because it doesn't have any sequins on it.
Oh, okay. Well, we can work that. We can work that out. Okay. So after part 2, he seems like he's smarter than he was before, because I had sort of I won't say sandbagged him. I just got asking questions that you really couldn't answer.
Well, I like to think that I answered them. They just might not have been the answers that you wanted.
That sounds like a true Republican. Okay. Now let us talk a little bit about this, because this is kind of important. Mm-hmm. It seems that the Supreme Court, it's called Obamacare. That's how everyone's calling it. But when you say Obamacare, that's really kind of slang, and it's sort of like a put down.
It is.
And what is it called?
I'm not even sure. I think it's the Affordable Health Care Act, or it's something like that.
Right.
And I agree with you. I think that calling it Obamacare is a way to first off, identify it with the president, which it is. I mean, it's his signature piece of legislation.
But it is.
It's somewhat denigrating.
Right.
I would agree.
So
with
you
that.
would say that anybody who uses Obamacare is someone who really isn't for the president?
I would probably not go that far, because I think it's such a far-reaching term at this point. It's accepted the way pro-choice and pro-life are accepted.
No, it's not accepted like pro-life. It's Obamacare. You Republicans want to get rid of it, so you use Obamacare. But my point is that the president had made some comment about the Supreme Court, and it would be unprecedented if they had sort of overruled the democratic process. Now, it looks like there is a federal judge, who's, by the way, on the bench. This is a panel of 3 judges, and all of a sudden he stops and basically he looks out at the lawyers and goes, "Look, I want a 3-page document in 2 days, which is today, and I want it single-spaced, and I want you to explain exactly what he meant." So everybody's going, "What? Well, you understand that?"
Well, the first thing, it sounds kind of like a freshman high school history paper, and the instructor is giving the parameters for what he or she wants. It's got to be single-spaced. It's got to be 3 pages long, 750 words, yada, yada, yada.
But he called it Obamacare.
Well,
and now,
there's no, I mean, a judge, judges are supposed to be smart people. Judges are supposed to be...
Well, he's smart because he was put on the bench by Reagan.
Must be very smart.
Must be brilliant.
Must be brilliant.
But
back to Obamacare. What's your point?
But the fact is, this is what's going to happen. If you can't win it on facts, you know, it took 8 years to break it. It's going to take 8 years to fix it. And I don't think anybody wants to go back to where it was. And it seems that Romney and the whole group really don't have an idea of what's going on. They want to get rid of it. Okay, I got a question to ask you. Already in what is called Obamacare, and I mean that in a nice way. This judge didn't mean it in a nice way, which, and you can't get rid of a judge. But anyway, and by the way, wasn't it your group, the Republicans here in New Hampshire, who are criticizing the judges for having too much power?
Oh, yeah, in many cases, family court judge. In fact, there's a constitutional amendment here, CACR 4.
Wait, no. Let us take care of one thing, and then we'll go back to that.
You mean I can't wander at will? There are fences here? Is that what you're saying?
No, well,
I'm penned in?
Just for a moment,
and
then I'll let you.
Flight of fancy.
In other words, you're not going to put up with this anymore. You're going to fight back.
No, of course not. I'm a very nice guest.
Who are you talking to?
Obviously not you. But please, go ahead, Ken.
You know, and by the way, I did try to water this for people who see it earlier, and Dick was laughing at me. It doesn't look like it's dying, this flower.
It does. I've never seen artificial flowers that look like they're dying.
That's why I tried to water it.
Yeah,
I thought it was a real flower.
I think you ought to talk to the props department.
I think we ought to talk to the props. All right.
But please, back to Obamacare.
Okay. So it is the Republicans here in New Hampshire who've criticized judges, but I don't hear anyone criticizing this judge for doing what he did on the bench 3 days ago. And I find this a little hypocritical. Now, I asked you a little bit about this before the show, and you didn't quite have it all together. Nobody, and that's fine. I mean, I'm not going after you for that. I mean, I can't figure out why the judge did that. But the whole idea is that here in New Hampshire, the Republicans are criticizing judges, but I haven't heard anybody criticize this judge.
Well, this is all out of context because I don't know, you brought this up, I don't know what you're referring to on this judge or what the point was or what the case was. But I would like to say one thing. Everybody's talking about Obamacare and everybody's talking about health insurance. The issue is not health insurance.
Oh, it's not.
The issue is public health. Think about this for a second. Let's say we had insurance up the wazoo. If it didn't do something for public health, who cares?
Yeah, I love how you slip into that, but let us for a second think in these terms. If so-called the Obamacare goes away and you have a child with an existing problem, what it means right now, insurance companies must insure this child. If you take Obamacare away right now, this child that you have with an existing illness, or your wife, or your daughter, or my son, etc., guess what? They can't get insurance. So what do these people do? They go to the emergency rooms?
Well, what people do now is what they've been doing for the last 20, 30 years. And incidentally, this is something that was brought on by Johnson. It was brought on by a Republican, mostly Democrat, but some Republican presidents. The Republicans are not without blame in this. This whole great society mentality, welfare mentality. The point is, it's not about insurance. Do you care what kind of health insurance you have if you don't get good health care? Does it matter what kind of health insurance you have if you don't get good health care?
Wait a minute. At least the Obama administration is trying to do something. The only thing I see as far as the Republicans are doing is they're trying to take it away, everything away. Excuse me, you're talking about insurance. You're talking about good insurance, bad insurance. But you take this away, there's no insurance for people who have an existing problem. They can't get insurance. What's your solution to that?
Good
I'm not talking about...
Good health care.
What?
Good health care.
Oh, okay. So as a Republican and a good Republican, what is your answer? Do you have anything in the works?
I don't. And if I did, I'd probably be working at the federal level and not the state level. I have enough trouble here in the state
No, to be perfectly honest with you, as much as I argue with you and like arguing with you and the other Republicans, we're probably smarter, a lot smarter than the people in Washington in many ways, because there's so many of us.
Well, I'll defer to your judgment on that.
That's a first.
No, Ken, I have a great deal of respect for you. I have respect for you in the work that you do at the county level, the work that you do at the state level, all of the things you do in your life. You are a Renaissance man.
Wow. Geez, it cost me $100 last week for you to say something like that. Now, what are you charging me this week?
Just remember one thing.
Here we go. I knew there's always a but here.
Leonardo spent much of his life on his back, looking up at a ceiling.
Okay.
You don't want to do the same thing.
Which means?
A Renaissance man may be a wonderful thing to be, but it's not everything. There's life out there.
I beg your pardon?
Yeah.
Well, if I had that ability to be a Leonardo da Vinci, it would be, or, Michelangelo. I mean, well, I don't. Well,
that's right. It was Michael.
Why don't we go ahead? I wonder how we got into this, and I wonder how many people are already confused. And we already got here.
Well, I was trying to get away from this whole thing on health insurance.
I know
because
that.
I don't have an answer.
You don't have any. And that's the problem. The Republicans don't have an answer.
I'm not sure the Democrats have an answer either.
Instead of taking it down, they say, let's get rid of this. Let us, the families who have children or relatives who can't get insurance, now they can't have insurance anymore. What goes on in the minds of some of these people?
Well,
why?
What did people do 5 years ago?
Oh, okay. You want to know what people did 5 years ago and what people did just 6 months ago? Did you know that 68% of the bankruptcies are because people can't pay bills, hospital bills? Did you know that?
I did not.
68%. This is ridiculous. We need some sort of assistance. Don't you think so?
I think we need better health care.
From how?
Honestly, Ken, I'm not sure. It took 40 or 50 years to get into this state.
All right.
I'm not sure that we're going to get out of it that quickly.
Well,
we're now in a place where we spend so much money practicing defensive medicine. We spend so much money on tests and procedures that we don't need. Oh, God.
Here we go with this.
We spend so much money in the wrong places in our healthcare system.
Oh, I heard that. What you're talking about is what came out yesterday from many doctors, I guess, and think tanks, is that doctors are spending too much money for too many tests, chest x-rays, MRIs for back, and even giving out too much medicine. And that's what you're talking about.
That's part of what I'm talking about, yes.
Any other part?
Well, the other part is I'm just thinking about my own situation. I've had a bad back, not unlike many other people. In the last 10 years, I probably had 6 or 7 MRIs. MRIs are expensive.
Okay, so what happened?
Do I need 6 or 7 MRIs? Probably not.
Well, what'd you do for your back?
Actually, very little. I had an operation 10 years ago. I haven't done a whole lot since then, and
it's gone away. How's your back now?
It's very good.
Well, didn't you have to have an MRI before you had a back operation?
I had one. Yep.
And then you had a back operation.
And then I had 4 or 5 others at various
operations?
times. No, MRIs.
Afterwards.
On
your back?
On my back.
To find out what?
I was having some pain. Actually, the MRIs didn't do a whole, they were there. They said, yep, you're having pain. We can't figure out why. The pain went away eventually. All I'm saying is that it's real easy for us right now to have too much in the way of testing. We're not spending our health care dollars appropriately. We're not spending them wisely. We're not spending them where we get the biggest bang for our money.
Well, you had an MRI for your back. They operated on your back, then you had a problem. To be perfectly honest with you probably needed another MRI to find out if they screwed it up. Mm-hmm. I had several MRIs. They operated on my back. My back is now fine. Mm-hmm. As you saw on my glove, I now hurt my arm, and I've had 2 operations on my shoulders, and I broke my foot. other than that, I'm having a great time. And the doctors, I said, I'm in pain. They didn't want to give me pain medication. And I'm going, what am I going to do? Get addicted? I mean, that's another thing. I can't believe that they're letting so many people in hospitals, who are in hospitals after operations. The doctors are afraid to give, call them hard medicines, hard pain relievers for some of these people. People are in pain. Give them the happy pill, for God's sakes. Let's get this medical marijuana bill passed up here.
Well,
you notice how I segued right into that?
I would like to have that happen, and I think that
The what happened?
the medical marijuana bill.
Do you know any? Do you smoke marijuana?
Not at the moment, no.
Have you?
I have. I have to check and see if I inhaled.
Well, I've smoked and I've inhaled, and it was fine then, but I grew up. But
been there, done that.
Yes, but I think one of the problems is that people think marijuana has to be smoked.
Oh, marijuana can be taken a lot of ways.
Yes,
Can be
brownies.
Brownies.
I've been given brownies with marijuana in it,
That's
which
right.
I didn't know.
Let's
happy brownies.
Can we turn to this for a second, because I think that we were talking about priorities and misplaced priorities a minute ago.
Boy, this show is going to be so confusing, even for me. I'm trying to figure a way to pull it all together.
Well, what we're going to be talking about is we're going to be talking about the state overreaching in a lot of ways. We have so many billions of dollars that we're spending on drug interdiction and controlling substances.
Ooh,
and we're not doing a good job.
That's wrong.
And we're not doing a good job.
You know that you shouldn't say this to me. You know, of all the people, because you and I are on the executive committee for Hillsborough County, and I believe that you're one of the people who voted to get rid of the drug alcohol program here in the state of New Hampshire.
I did.
Also, you're one of the people who voted to get rid of the 5 social workers that we have.
I did.
Okay, fine. So you talk about drug and alcohol problems. We had, if I remember, judge come in, police officers come in, social workers come in and say, look, instead of sending these people to jail, which the judge said, I send them to this program that works very well, which costs $241,000. So you guys got rid of. Why did you get rid of that? Well, that's the best money there was. That was cheap.
The reason I voted for that was to try to balance the budget. But here we've got an example.
Oh, whoa.
Here we have.
Wait. You balance the budget.
Yeah.
What about people with drug and alcohol problems? How do you balance that? You're one of the people who voted to get rid of that, which was $241,000, to balance the budget. I got a question. How much do we have right now in surplus?
It's about $14 million at the county level.
$14 million in surplus. So since a year, for $241,000 per year, in other words, there are people who have gone to jail because there was no other place to go, no other program that we have. How much does it cost per year for one person in jail?
I think the figure, and this is very rough, 30,000, 35,000, something like that. 31,000.
31,000.
And it differs at the state and county level.
So it takes 10 people, and that's 300,000?
That would be about right.
So you would say how many people have gone to jail because we don't have that program?
I have no idea.
10, 20?
I have no idea.
See, we don't have that, but if we had that, those numbers, then we'd probably say that we should have kept that program. Would you agree on that?
If the program is going to save the county money, it should come back.
How about saving lives?
If the program is going to save the county money, it will probably save lives.
Well, but you see, when this came up, it was told it wasn't going to save the county money. But you were one of the people who voted it down. Now, would you say, with the knowledge that you had over a year, do you think you'd look at that a little differently and maybe change your mind on that?
I would look at a lot of things differently after being in the
legislature.
Let's
start with this one.
Hang on for a second. After being in the legislature for a year and a half and being on the county executive committee for a year and a half, I now feel as though I've got a little bit of a track record of going through the cycle for the second time. Let's see what comes up. What do you think is going to come up? Do you think this will come up again?
We're talking about judges who came in. A judge came in and said, look, you've got to keep this program because I don't know what to do with these people. The only thing I can do with these people is put them in jail. He says, we sent them to this program, and real simple, the program is not an easy program. You fool around, you're going back to jail or going to jail. So it straightened out a lot of people, which kept them out of jail, kept them off drugs and alcohol, kept them working, kept families together. I don't know how you put that financially as $241,000 for how many people in the state of New Hampshire. Why in the world would you take a program away that's definitely saving money and lives? Why would you do that? Or do you think that hasn't saved money for the state?
I honestly don't know. I know that at the time the vote was taken, it was felt that the resources could be better used somewhere else.
Where? Where?
Well, one of the things was keeping the spending levels and keeping the relative tax levels absolutely stable. And that's, Ken, that was why I think...
we have $41 million surplus.
No, 14.
14, excuse me.
I was elected. The reason I was elected was to keep spending under control. That's the primary reason I'm sitting here.
Okay. So taking away that $241,000 was saving money for the state.
Not necessarily for the state, but for the county, for the taxpayers here, for the people who pay property taxes, the people who pay city taxes. We only have so much money. Well, we only have so much that we can spend.
I know, and I hear that from you, and I hear that from other people, but come on, we got a $14 million surplus, and for a year and a half, people have gone to jail, and probably some to hell because they haven't really have had a way to get help. You took that away from them. You took that away from a lot of people. We don't know how many people are in jail because of this. We don't know how many families were destroyed because there is no program for them, do we? We don't know that.
We don't know what the consequences have been.
But would you think that there are some people who have been hurt?
I would say that any budget decision, including this one, has winners and losers.
Oh, come on now. These are called people. There's difference of saving money and wasting money. You want to, look, we both don't want to spend too much. We both don't want to waste too much. But when you start taking it away from programs that truly work, that help people, help themselves, which means helps the community, then it's a mistake to take $241,000 away for drug and alcohol. And this program was working.
Basic difference that I see between the two of us is I believe that for the future, for all of our futures, we cannot continue to spend beyond our means.
We have $14 million in surplus. Don't tell me we're going above our means.
What I see you doing, Ken, is I see you representing the group that says we have all of this tremendous need, and there is tremendous need, and need is always going to exceed our ability to take care of it. No matter what, there's always more need. So what do? We go out, we tax, we spend the surplus. Surplus has been there for years. Hillsborough County is the best run county in the state. Part of the reason is, and this saves money, we don't have to go out and get short-term bonding. Because we have this surplus, we don't have to pay interest rates. We've got a very good credit rating. We pay people competitively. We do the right thing for the taxpayers. And I'd like to continue to do that.
And you know something, I think that sounds really good to a lot of people out there, but why don't you look at it in these terms? If just 10 people went to jail, that's $300,000. You're wrong and I'm right when it comes to $241,000. But let's move on to something else. How about the 5.5 social workers, which was $441,000 that we took away? You voted to take 5.5 social workers away. They came before us and showed that they saved the state $1.5 million. They not only saved the state money, but they stop people from committing suicide. They keep people out of jail. They keep families together. They take children away from bad families, women out of bad situations for $441,000 or $450,000. And they come to us and say, here, we saved the state $1.5 million. I stood there that day. I wouldn't sit down until they voted for that. I wanted everybody, I wanted to see who would vote against it. All right. And if I remember correctly, A lot of people yelled and screamed at other bills, but when I stood there and wouldn't sit down until the bill was taken over, they didn't yell and scream, but they talked loud enough that you could hear them across the street. That was, to me, was sinful. And I'm not holding that against you, because this has been my big thing.
No, I think you should. I think you, and you're rightly holding me accountable, because I did vote to make that cut. I voted for the budget that exists now in Hillsborough County. I voted for the budget that exists now in the state. I have to take ownership for every single piece of that. On an individual basis, I may look at it now and say, this is a horrible thing. It's a horrible thing that we did. The CHINS program at the state level, we cut that. We gutted it. It is a marvelous program. It's done wonderful things. I voted for it. I voted to cut it because I voted for the budget.
Okay, well, hold on a second. But what you're telling everyone, and there are people out there saying, oh yeah, that sounds good, he really wants to take care of the budget, et cetera, et cetera. But if we just go back and we say, well, you know, there were 10 people put in jail, which cost $300,000, but $241,000, we got to kept them out of jail and kept them productive. That doesn't make any sense now. You're saying you voted for a budget.
We don't know that. We don't know that.
Well, we certainly can find out now, can't
we?
Well,
I think we should, and I think that would be a wonderful homework lesson for next week.
2 suicides in the city of Nashville, which were really kind of gruesome. I won't get into them. And when I heard the social workers talking about how they save people from committing suicide, stop the families, you know, calm everything, the situation's down, and we lost them. That is my big thing. I'm really sorry. I get carried away with this one, especially when we're in some bad times, not just financial, but emotional, et cetera, and people not having jobs. This is when we shouldn't have taken that away, in my opinion, added to it. So that's kind of my thing, and I'm really get kind of mad and worked up about that, and I apologize to you.
Oh, no apology necessary. I appreciate that.
Would you vote for some of the things now that you have more knowledge? Vote the same way now?
Probably not. And I would...
Give me an example.
Well, I knew you were going to ask that, and let's see what comes up as the rest of the show goes on, because I've changed. I have changed a little bit. I hope we all have to some extent. I mean, my experience is...
Oh, I bet you I can give you one.
Go right ahead.
Did you vote to take 5 cents off package of cigarettes? 5 cents.
Yes, I did. I voted to reduce the cigarette tax, and I still buy into that.
Oh, still buys into that. Where is this camera? I got to find out. Let me see if I have this straight. We in turn have had this for over a year.
Right.
5 cents a pack off. We've taken the tax off it. We've lost how much money to date? How much money have we lost?
I don't have the figures. How much money have we lost?
$9.5 million we've lost.
Is that for the year?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
9.5. And now wait a minute. Wait. 241,000 to save people from drug and alcohol. 441,000 for social workers who save $1.5 million. And yet you guys give away $9.5 million.
We didn't give it away.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Well, you didn't.
You know what we did? We created a way for people to come into the state, buy cigarettes here. Cigarette retail sales are going down nationwide as prices go up. They're going down less here in this state than they are in other states.
Excuse me. Losing $9.5 million because you took 5 cents a pack off. Don't equate this, or try. In my opinion, you really shouldn't make an attempt to say right across the country, you know, cigarette smoking is going down.
No,
we lost 9.5. You'd still vote for that?
Yep.
You'd still vote to take a 5 cents a pack off, tax it, to deduct 5 cents?
I would.
Even though you know that it lost $9.5 million?
No, I don't know that it lost $9.5 million at all. What would happen if we had the tax? Would we have sold the same number of packs of cigarettes? No.
No, but we wouldn't have lost a penny. Why would we lose money?
Because if we sell less packages of cigarettes, the amount that comes in taxes goes down.
Yeah, I know, but it would never go down $9.5 million. That would be like a drought.
You have no way of knowing that. I mean,
yeah, we have statistics that show.
Let's bring them on.
Okay, so we have probably part 3 coming up next week because we made some statements that I must find out and come in here because I am giving you kind of a hard time on that. But that's I really believe that this would be one that you would say, no, I don't think I'd vote for that.
No, I think I'd vote for that again, at least for the biennium, and see how it works. However, what I would say is, if it doesn't work after 2 years, I would vote to reverse it.
I don't think you got to go 2 years. $9.5 million, that's a loss. That's not a gain for you guys. In fact, it's a sin tax, first of all. Do you smoke?
I used to, not anymore.
Yes, I'm one of those too. We all gave up at one time.
Right.
But I can't believe that yourself or other Republicans say this is a good idea. I haven't seen any statistics because what you're saying is they come into the state to buy cigarettes, and I'll give you this one. They come into they'll buy other things. They'll buy, I won't say they'll buy milk with cigarettes, but they might buy beer. They might buy chips. They might stop in and do all their shopping. They come anyway. I mean, we're so low in cigarette tax anyway compared to Massachusetts. They're coming in anyway.
Ken, you're taking.
Why are we going to bring more people in?
You're taking pity on me, and I appreciate it.
I am?
Yeah, because what you're doing is you're making the same argument that Ken Weiler made. Ken Weiler is the head of the finance committee in the state, and his argument was, yeah, cigarette taxes gross may be down. However, other taxes are up. And the reason that they're up, part of the reason is because there are more people coming in, and as they are buying cigarettes, even at a lower rate, the other taxes are going up, the BET, the BPT.
Oh, that is...
Now, wasn't that the argument you were just making?
I know, but that's... I was being good to you, but that's a lame reason.
That's what I was saying.
We know that. That's lame. Cigarettes, people are coming from Massachusetts anyway because it's cheaper. Now it's 5 cents. You think they're going to smoke? Are they going to smoke more?
Gas is cheaper.
Are they going to smoke more?
I don't know if they will, but instead of spending their cigarette money in Tingsboro, they'll spend it in Nashua.
They're coming. If they were in Tingsboro, they're coming to Nashua anyway. I mean, it's a nice ride up the highway.
That's true.
That's
true.
simple.
Yeah.
So I thought I was going to give you something very nice to say. I wouldn't. But you'd do that tax thing again.
I think I would.
Oh God.
What I would do, Ken, is as I said before, I'd follow the logic. I'd follow the evidence. If there's evidence in front of me that says it's not working, and I haven't seen it yet. If there is evidence in front of me, then why wouldn't I change? Because the whole idea is to maximize the revenue, especially in something like this.
Well, $9.5 million in 1 year, that's not enough?
I don't know. I honestly don't know. I mean, what I will do is I'll find out, and I'll be ready next time.
Okay. All right. So you will change your mind if you came here at another time. You would change your mind.
If the evidence led that way, yeah.
So us Democrats will not necessarily get you to become a Democrat, but you'll be a Republican who will change your mind regarding smoking?
Or regarding regarding the cigarette tax. Again.
Also drug and alcohol, if I can show you the numbers next time?
Well, I want to go in a different place with drugs and alcohol.
Okay, well, wait a minute. But if the $241,000, and we can show that because we didn't spend that amount, it cost us $300,000, would you change your mind on that one?
If I will follow the evidence on that.
Okay, and now the social workers save $1.5 million, but we got rid of $450,000. You think you're saving money on the budget?
Again, the same thing. I'll follow the evidence on that. If the voters of Hillsborough County are going to be better off fiscally, yeah. Because that's what I'm supposed to be doing.
I know, but come on now. I mean, that's a laid down thing. Of course, I want the people in our area in Nashua. I'm from Ward 6, and you're from Ward
589.
5, 8, 9. But now with this, but you're now just one ward.
Well, not yet. Depends on what happens with redistricting, and that's a whole different topic
Here we
get
go
into.
again. I know that. But
now, the point is, why am I here? I'm not here to decimate programs. Why am I here? I'm here to get a fiscal house in order at the state and at the county level. Trying to do the best I can with limited information. Be accountable for all my decisions, that's fine. But if I make a decision and I find out later that the facts or the evidence leads me in a different direction, I'll go there. I'm not wedded to one particular philosophy.
I know, but you say that, but 1 year and a $9.5 million loss in one program is, and you don't have enough time. I mean, I'm sorry, my friend. A year of losing $9.5 million and turning around and saying, well, I'm just doing this for the betterment of my city of Nashua. That's kind of weak.
Well, I'll tell you what is one of the things that we can do? We can make some markers, and we can come back next week, and we can get our facts together.
You mean there's going to be a part 3?
Well, if you'll have me, I like to think that I'm pretty easy pickings as far as you're concerned.
No, you're not actually. If people look like I'm irritating you, I'm attempting to try to make you screw up a little. I mean, that's kind of what I would like to do. But don't tell me you're easy pickings. Well,
I can screw up without
much help.
Without much help. I do that on a regular basis. I want to shift.
No. You're here because you're reasonable.
Well, that's.
I couldn't stand some of the Republicans. They wouldn't last 5 minutes where you're sitting. I don't know what we ought to call it.
What the hell is this one? Is this one of those chairs that goes through the floor? Is that the whole idea?
The electric chair.
The electric. Yes, that's right.
We have to name this. We have to name the chair.
Oh, I want to talk about something for a minute. We're going to shift gears.
Here we go.
You brought up the whole idea of drugs and alcohol and medical marijuana. And the more I get into this, the more I find that on a national and on a state and on a local level, what I'm led to is that our policies are crazy. Our policies on trying to control substances are crazy.
Are you talking about New Hampshire or national?
Talking about national, and I'm talking about New Hampshire.
Okay, so what does New Hampshire have that is as crazy as the rest of the country?
Well, part of the problem is that most of these laws are federal as far as the way substances are
like
categorized, marijuana, controlled substances, heroin, morphine, the whole 9 yards. However, I do believe there is some room to make some inroads in this at the state level. One of them is medical marijuana. Why wouldn't we want to provide help for people with glaucoma, provide help for people in pain with a substance?
I've got several stories, and also I know a person with multiple sclerosis. That's a story within itself. Cancer, obviously. I've got some sad stories about that, where they use marijuana, by the way. And as I know, that there are some pills that will knock you right on your ass, excuse me. But no pain, but no brain. With medical marijuana, it's a little easier. Still a little goofy, but a lot easier.
Right. What I can't understand is why wouldn't we want to head in that direction? So I guess I don't understand the folks who are adamant against essentially experimenting with medical marijuana in the sense of trying out some laws the way a number of other states have done.
Like Maine, I believe you can grow up to an ounce or 2 ounces or something like that. But medical marijuana, that's fascinating. I love the way they say medical marijuana. Listen, if a drug company could own the rights to it, which means to grow it, to package it, not to sell it. I mean, everybody thinks smoke it. You don't have to smoke it. No. You can get it in tab form.
Yep.
It'd be like the cost of aspirins, which would be cheap. Well, which means that all this high cost, drug stuff that they want to make millions with, they could make very little. And by the way, bare aspirin's an interesting story. That's probably one of the better drugs we have because it does so many things.
Right.
And everybody would love to own the rights to it, but they can't. So medical marijuana or marijuana, I think is very important. I think that's very, very shortly people are going to start waking up. People are waking up to the
Well,
fact.
you know, you've touched on something that I hadn't thought about, but I think is a real different way to go on this. Where else can one grow their own drug? Where else can one have control over the whole process of the drug that they take? In theory, you could grow your own marijuana if you needed it for medical purposes.
In theory?
In theory. I'm being very careful about this. In theory,
No,
you
you're
could,
not.
in
Really, there are people out there going, he wants to grow marijuana.
In theory, if this law were to pass, you could legally grow your own marijuana, or depending upon
You
how
need
the
a
law is.
doctor's certificate simply stating that it would be helpful to you.
Yeah, that it's
And it would be
necessary.
cheap.
Yeah, it's like growing tomatoes, or tomatoes, as we say.
I hate tomatoes. Do you like tomatoes?
Yeah, and I sometimes say tomato, and I'm sure.
And you grow them?
No, they're too much. I get them from other people. There are always a lot of them around. But back to the drugs. And if we're going to do this with marijuana, why do we want to be spending all the money we're spending on attempts to control hard substances when it's not working? When we're funding people in foreign countries who are trying to not only take over their own countries, but to provide to get drugs into this country. Why are we doing all of this?
What do you mean? You mean why are we giving them money to help that country stop it?
Yeah. In other words, why aren't we doing? Maybe I'm talking like a Democrat now. Perish the thought. Why aren't we controlling and taxing instead of trying to keep all of this stuff out and it's getting in anyway? Think of the money we're spending on drug interdiction, both nationally and internationally. Think of the lives that are ruined. Think of what we could do with this money. We could probably hire 10 social workers back at the county level if we could do something about this.
I'm sure we could do more than that. But now let's see if I get this straight. Are you trying to say legalize all drugs?
I'm saying that I think that's a discussion and a debate that we should get into very heavily.
But you're saying
I'd like to see us head in I think
not legalized, but no penalties.
I would say that we probably should be looking at legalization.
Of what?
Of virtually all narcotics.
You're saying that what we should do here, maybe start in New Hampshire, is to legalize all narcotics, not making it illegal.
We can't do it just in New Hampshire because it's got to be at a national level.
Well, I know that, but there's always start someplace.
Yeah.
I think California's already got this marijuana thing going very well.
Well, they just
Maine has just passed a bill. You can grow a little.
But if we're talking about scarce resources, and if we're talking about taking money that we don't need to be spending in one area and bringing it back to another, this is an area I think we ought to be looking at. We spend billions and billions and billions of dollars on attempting to control and keep narcotics out of this country. And people's lives are ruined.
You know, I see it a little differently. This is something that if you're our age, you've gone through it. I certainly have tried lots of drugs. And at this particular point, I'm very happy with an aspirin if I have a problem. Okay, so that's sort of like, that's over for me. But I kind of look at it differently. You can't convince people that you're going to make drugs illegal. In other words, there's no penalties. It's impossible to do that. But what I always thought of, why don't you just legalize drug users? If a person is using a particular drug, why aren't they just made a user of the drug? In other words, let's say it's a cocaine habit. These people will do anything to get cocaine. They will even take bad drugs to sort of get a high. A lot of people get killed. A lot of people get, robbed for money to buy drugs. If you legalized a drug individual who's a drug user, and they could go, we'll call it a pharmacy, but maybe it wouldn't be a pharmacy, it'd be someplace else, where they could go in and get their daily sort of fix, which would be a set price, which would be enough money that they don't have to rob people, or a little money to go out and rob people. I think that would be certainly one way that crime would just at least start off in some drugs. Like if you get caught smoking marijuana, all right, why don't you say that you're a drug user? You're a registered drug user. You get caught with marijuana on you, you take out your card, okay. You're fine, but you don't give it to anyone. You can't really smoke it, let's say, in public. I think that's probably the way to go in lots of ways. That means you can take a person who is considered a drug user, you can take them, you can fingerprint them, you can take their pictures, you can take blood tests to see if they have any diseases. There's lots of things you can do. You can know where they are. They must carry a card all the time if they're a drug user. They also must pay taxes. And all of a sudden, these great countries that we're spending billions on to try to get them to stop the drug makers in their country from not sending it over here, all of a sudden that'd be gone. You would, in all drugs, actually.
Yeah. Well, that's one way to do it. I don't think we need to go that far, because that would create a whole class of people and identity issues. But if drugs were treated the way we treat other available but controlled substances, you get a prescription, you go to the pharmacy, you get pills, you're good for a month. We could even, you know what? We could even have Obamacare pay for it.
Here we go, Obamacare again. You're making fun of the president, and all I can say is I just love it. We were looking at my iPad before the show. It looks like our friend Mr. Gingrich, his think tank just went bankrupt. Then we heard that Romney is having talks with the person who seems to be giving him the hardest time, which Santorum is taking 5 days off. So Romney's sort of cutting everyone down, and now it's just going to be Romney, because I think the problems that you guys have, especially with women, how in the world did you get involved? Anybody get involved with women and their ability to use a birth control pill and making this an issue? A bunch of guys, and there's more guys talking about it than women are talking about it. When women talk about it, they talk about it, it's none of your damn business what I do. I mean, and you're a Republican. How can you get over that? Rush Limbaugh calling, this nice young lady, it seems, what, a slut? And,
I believe he did.
Yeah, and that since we're paying for her birth control pills, and this really wasn't what it was about, that they ought to have photograph her and put it on the internet and having sex.
Yeah, I think.
And did you? I got a question. Did you ever? You have, right? You got a camera. Do you believe? Are you agreeing with Rush Limbaugh?
I think Rush and I probably agree with very little.
So what you're saying as a Republican is not only was that wrong, it was pretty stupid of him.
Well, I think stupid first, wrong second. Yeah.
Just stupid.
I think stupid first. Yes. It was silly. All right, let's get it out. I don't disagree with almost everything you just said. I think that when it comes down to a woman and control of her body, I'm going to come down on the woman's side of this issue against everybody else every single time. I have a wife, I've got a daughter, I had a mother, I've got a sister. Each of them is in a better place to make decisions about their bodies, the reproductive process, than the church, the government, anybody else.
How in the world, and I'm glad for you to say that, but how in the world can you you're not, why aren't you talking more up about this? I mean, it's your Republican Party. You're the Republican Party here in this state of New Hampshire. You're the supermajority, and you're the first person I have heard say what you just said. But I haven't heard really too many people talking about this too much at all in this state. In fact, we're probably doing it more here and being more direct about it than a lot of other places. In fact, because we got the time.
Well, I don't know about my colleagues, my Republican colleagues. All I can do is talk about what I believe in and why I think this is important and why I think that we are wrong and being stupid by going after Planned Parenthood. We're wrong and we're stupid by going after a woman's right to choose. And when I say we, I mean the Republican Party. Leave it alone. Not only leave it alone for tactical reasons, but leave it alone because we should leave it alone. Because the right thing to do is leave it alone.
None of your business. None of your.
That's the way I would say it. It's none of my business.
Well, I'm glad for you to. I'm glad you say that. And I think there are a lot more people who would say that. But I think here in New Hampshire, you have been sort of, even though you look strong and you got that little energy in you, I think you've been pushed around by your party quite a bit.
Well, good point.
Did you vote for any of these things?
Let's see. I voted against right to work. I voted against constraints on the current abortion process. I voted against changes in the current marriage laws. I voted against, what else did I vote against?
You sound like a Democrat.
Well, at one point in my life I was, and then I saw the light.
But yeah, now you see, it's interesting. It's an election time. You're going to see more of the light as time goes on.
No, I spent.
Because we're both running again, and
Yeah.
we're both. I'm a state representative. You're a state representative. I have a feeling you are going to see the light. I think there's going to be a lot of Republicans that are going to see the light.
Well, I think what'll my
the back door, one or the other.
My sense is that what's going to happen is when the House gets together again in January of 2013, it's going to be a significantly different makeup.
Really? You think so?
I think so. I think so. I think there will not
Think
be.
you're going to be there?
If the voters of whatever district I sit in will have me, I would love to be there. I'm running. I'm going to be out campaigning. I'm going to be working as hard as I can.
Okay, I got a question. I've always, and I'm lucky to have done 2 terms. I've always run as if I'm only going to run for 1 term, and so I've been pretty boisterous of how I make points, and I will go after everyone, including my own party, and I have, and gotten a lot of trouble for it. In other words, I'm not going to be pushed around at all. But you have changed your mind on a lot of things. Now it's coming up to election. Could one look at you and say, "Well, he's doing that because it's an election time"?
Well, that's a good question. I haven't changed my mind on a lot of things. I don't think the only thing that I can recall that I really changed my mind on was right to work. I did vote for right to work early on, and I came after examining it and listening to people and reading. I came to believe that it is not the way to go. In the private sector, certainly. Public sector is a different issue, but in the private sector, and I voted against it because of the private sector parts of it.
But in the public sector, you voted.
In the public sector, I would very much consider right to work because that's what I came from the federal government. I worked in the federal government most of my life.
But we went through this argument yesterday.
No, this is important because it puts it in context. And the context is the right to work works in the public sector. And it's something that I think we ought to take a look at.
Doesn't work in the private sector?
No. I don't think it's appropriate in the private sector.
You mean like the state workers shouldn't have a right to have a union?
No, that's not what I'm saying at all.
Okay, what are you saying?
What I'm saying is that in the federal government, people can unionize.
Well, let's stay here in New Hampshire. You go federal. Let's stay here in New Hampshire.
No, and the reason
because there are state workers here.
That's right, and the reason for talking about the federal model is it's worked for 60 years. And what I would suggest, And what I have suggested is we might want to take a look at this at the state level. You can bargain, you can belong to a bargaining unit or not. I mean, you will belong to a bargaining unit, but you don't have to belong to the union. You don't have to pay union dues, and supervisors cannot form a bargaining unit. Those are two tenets.
Well, you know, we've gone through almost an hour, and it's been, so we probably will have a part 3. We will find out after the program if you can come back, because I think I have interviewed a lot of Democrats, and no offense, I love Democrats, but we're like always agreeing, and that's kind of odd. And I think Republicans and Democrats make a real big mistake by having just Democrats or Republicans on if they're just Democrats or Republicans.
Well, I agree.
Pardon me?
I agree.
Yeah, so I think I need more of I need the fight and fire. I don't need, you know, oh yes, that's good, good, I agree with you. No, enough of that. I think we've gone over an hour, so there may be a part 3. So folks, I'm sorry. We've gone on a little. I do hope that you find this type of fighting back and forth good, because I think this is what I want to do. I will interview anyone, but I'd rather argue just a little, and this guy is a good guy to argue with. Mr. Representative, Mr. Robbins, thank you very much, and thanks for watching,
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time.